Okay, class, we're starting section 1.7, order of operations on whole numbers. We have exponents. We use exponents as shorthand for repeated multiplication. Vocabulary. In exponent notation, the base is the number that is raised to a power. The power is called the exponent. So, this is the base here. This 5 is your base. And is raised to the power of 8, so this is your exponent. So this is your base, and this is your exponent. Now we scroll down here. We have our examples. We have repeated multiplication, which here we have 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So we have 2 multiplied by itself 5 times. So our exponent notation would be 2 to the 5th power. Now the value. We will multiply all of these values together. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16, times 2 is 32. So your value here is 32. Now, we go here. We have repeated multiplication. We have 4 3's multiplied by itself. So our exponent notation would be 3 to the 4th power. Okay, now our value. 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27, times 3 is 81. So that is our value. Now we come down here. We have repeated multiplication, and if you notice, we have the exponent notation, which is 8 to the 2nd power. Now, 8 to the 2nd power written as repeated multiplication is 8 times 8. Now, we have 8 times 8, and we could get the value. 8 times 8 is 64. Now, what I'm going to do for the next 2 problems here, I'm going to write on the outside of this box here, of this chart, because if you notice, the numbers are scrolling down. So here, we have 6 to the 3rd power. The repeated multiplication would be 6 times itself 3 times. 6 times 6 times 6. Okay, now, to get our value, 6 times 6 is 36, and 36 times 6 is 216. So we could write 216 for our value. Now, we go down to the last problem here. We have 4 to the 4th power. Now, that means that we will write 4 times. 4 is multiplied to itself 4 times. So we have 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. So now, we multiply those values together. 4 times 4 is 16, times 4 is 64, times 4 is 256. And that is our value. Now, we scroll down here. It says caution. Don't confuse regular multiplication with finding a power. So we look here. We have 5 times 3, which we know is 15. But here we have 5 to the 3rd power. That's the same as 5 times 5 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25, times 5 is 125. There's a big difference in these 2 answers. Now we scroll down. We come to order of operations. Now it says if there were no rules about what to do first, what 2 answers could you get? Now, if there was no rules, we'd just go from left to right. 5 plus 6 is 11 times 4. And we know 11 times 4 is 44. Now, we'll try this a different way. Let's multiply first. 6 times 4 is 24. So we'll have 5 plus 24. And 5 plus 24 is 29. Now these are 2 very different answers. So let's find out which answer is correct. It says many people use the mnemonic device PEMDAS to remember the order of operation. Now, we're going to scroll down here. Now the P in PEMDAS stands for parentheses. The E is exponents. The M is multiply, the D is divide, the A is add, and the S is subtract. That's where we get PEMDAS from. But let's clarify one thing. The first thing is, the first step you always do is parentheses. That's why the P is first. Now, there are different type of parentheses, which I will list down here. You have your regular parentheses, you have your brackets, and you also have your braces. These are the different type of parentheses you will encounter. Now we come to the exponents. We already saw the exponents. That's basically powers. So that would be your second step. Okay, now we get here to our third step. It's multiply or divide. It's whichever one of these comes first from left to right. They have equal value. So if you have a problem that has multiplication and division, what you do is you look from the left to the right, whichever one comes first. So if you were dividing first, you would divide. If you were multiplying first, then you would multiply. Now, we come here to the fourth and final step. We have addition or add or subtract. It's whichever one of these come first from left to right. So if you have a problem and you have subtraction and addition, you look, if subtraction is first, you do that first. If addition is first, you do that first. We will clarify this in later problems. So let's scroll down here so we can get some practice. But before we do our practice, let's take a look at these assorted hints. It says here, number 1, do one step at a time. Consider using the method of boxing in the operation to be performed next at each step. Number 2, if there are several sets of grouping symbols, start from the inside and work your way out. When they say grouping symbols, they're talking about your parentheses, brackets, or braces, which I showed you earlier with the parentheses. At any step, you should always be working on the innermost set of grouping symbols. Number 3, once you have reduced what is inside a set of grouping symbols to a single number, stop writing the grouping symbols unless they are needed as a separator. Now, based on the order of operation, which was the correct way to do the earlier example problem? Now remember, according to the order of operations, which you should have your course pack with you right now, we know that multiplication is the third step and addition is the fourth step. So we will multiply first. So we will have 5 plus 6 times 4 is 24. So 5 plus 24 is 29. So 29 is the correct answer. Now, we scroll down here to example B. Example set B. Okay, it tells us to evaluate. Let's look at number 1 in the operations. We have addition, we have an exponent, we have multiplication. Now we know exponents are your number 2 step, multiplication is number 3, and addition is 4. So we do the exponent first. So we will have 8 plus 3 to the second power is 9 times 6. Now we're left with addition and multiplication. We know multiplication is our third step, addition is our fourth step. So we would do the multiplication first. So we will have 8 plus 9 times 6 is 54. So now we have 8 plus 54, which is 62. And that is our final answer for number 1. Now we come to number 2. We have division, multiplication, addition. Now division is the third step and multiplication is the third step. Addition is the fourth step. So what we would do here is, since we have 2 from the third step, we go whichever one comes first from left to right. In this case, it happens to be division. So we would take 24 divided by 6, which is 4, times 2, plus 3. Now 4 times 2, well, we know multiplication comes before addition. So we have 4 times 2, which is 8, plus 3. Now 8 plus 3 is 11. Now we scroll down to number 3. Now we have division, addition, and exponent and subtraction. We know we would do this exponent first. So we would have 8 divided by 2 plus 16 because 4 squared is 16 minus 10. Now we have division, addition, and subtraction. We would do the division first. 8 divided by 2 is 4 plus 16 minus 10. Now we have addition and subtraction, and both of them are the fourth step, so we go whichever one comes first from left to right. So here it happens to be addition. 4 plus 16 is 20 minus 10, and 20 minus 10 is 10. Now we go here to problem number 4. We have multiplication and exponent, subtraction and multiplication. We know we would do the exponent first. So we have 3 times 8 minus 6 times 4. Now we know multiplication comes before subtraction, but we have two multiplication symbols here. We do the first set of multiplication. So we have 3 times 8, which is 24, minus 6 times 4. Now we have subtraction and multiplication. We do the multiplication. So we will have 24 minus 24. And we know 24 minus 24 is 0, because anything minus itself is 0. Now we scroll down to example set C. Now we look here at number 1. We have an exponent, we have a parenthesis, we have multiplication and addition. Now we know according to the order of operations, we do the parentheses first. So we go inside the parentheses, and we look here, we have multiplication and addition. So we know we would do the multiplication first. So we have 2 squared, 3 times 4 is 12, plus 5. Now inside this parenthesis, we're not done, so we will add 12 plus 5 is 17. Now, there's nothing more we could do with this parenthesis. And let's go outside the parenthesis. We have this exponent, and we know this number connected to the parenthesis means multiplication. So we do the exponent first. So 2 to the second power is 4. So now we will have 4 times 17. Now, if you need to go off to the side and take 17 times 4, that's fine. 4 times 7 is 28. Bring down your 8, carry your 2. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 is 6. So your final answer here is 68. Now, we go to problem number 2. We have parentheses again. So we know we would do this parentheses first. So we go inside. 2 times 3 is 6. And that's squared, plus 2 times 3 squared. Now, we can't do anything more with this parenthesis. So our operations that are left is the exponent, addition, multiplication, and an exponent. So we know we would do the exponents first, whichever one comes first from left to right. Parenthesis 6 squared is 36, plus 2 times 3 squared. So now we do this exponent here. We have 36 plus 2 times 9, and it equals 2. Now we have addition and multiplication. We know we would do multiplication first. So it'll be 36 plus 2 times 9 is 18. And 36 plus 18 is 54. Now we scroll down here to problem number 3. Now with problem number 3, you notice we have 3 sets of parentheses here. But the only parenthesis we could do anything with is this first parenthesis. These other two are just basically multiplication. So we would do this parenthesis. 6 minus 2 is 4. Plus 7, parenthesis 3, parenthesis 2. Now we only have multiplication and addition. So we would do multiplication from left to right. 5 times 4 is 20. Plus 7 times parenthesis 3 times parenthesis 2. So now we would do our first set of multiplication here. 7 times 3 is 21. And we bring down our parenthesis 2. Now we do our second set. We have 20 plus 21 times 2 is 42. And 20 plus 42 is 62. Now, we're going to look here at number 4. Now, first of all, we know this parenthesis here, we cannot do anything with it. So we follow the other operations.